Hey class, this is Katrina Berg, and this is your week 3 additional resource. I wanted to talk about chapter 10, which covers service. It's a whole chapter that's dedicated to that only. This is not assigned reading, and one of the reasons too that I wanted just to provide a video summary to you of some key information that I wanted to pull out from the chapter for you. So, service, let's talk about that. Can it be a differentiator for your business? Yes. Good service often provides word of mouth referrals, and poor service can cause consumers not to choose you. Social media has definitely had an impact of that word of mouth. Yelp comes to mind as reviews, Google reviews come to mind, whatever your product and or service might be. The consumer definitely is leaving their feedback on the web for you. And those companies that are responsive to that feedback tend to have a better reputation. Those that maybe not as responsive are causing some damage to their brand. One of the ways that service can be successful for your company and your organization is employee enablement. What that means is that you are training, you are providing resources to your staff that allow them to provide the best service possible to the consumer. Characteristics of services, we talk about it. What is that exactly? Your book describes 4, and they are intangibility, which means that it can't be experienced physically. A service also is inseparable, and what that means is it can't be experienced until it's actually consumed. So that means you use it. Variability, that is only as good as the provider. So service can be variable, and here we go back to employees. Management should try for consistency in service, but it can be variable based upon who you receive. For example, if you might be getting a spa treatment or a facial, each individual that is giving you the facial might have a little bit of a different method or technique, and those small variabilities can make an impact on your overall experience. Then we can talk about expectations, which I'll cover a little bit later. Let me get back to the 4th characteristic of service, which is perishability. This is more from the company's viewpoint. It could be loss of revenue if it's not used. So again, if you're booking a spa treatment, then if that's not used, then that time is lost and that revenue is then lost. So to recap, the 4 characteristics of services: intangibility, inseparability, variability, and perishability. Moving on, let's dig a little bit deeper into services and the provider experience and the consumer experience, how that's received. Again, employees are critical in this. Quality of service provided. Your employees, are they happy? Do they want to be engaged? That's going to translate to how the consumer is receiving that service. Value. Are the employees sharing the value? Are they being consistent in what they're giving? Are they happy? Are they basically sharing the message of what it is you offer, why you offer it, and how this helps make your life easier? Customer satisfaction, this goes back to retention. Happy customers are going to come back, and they also are going to share their experience through word of mouth, maybe through social media, whatever it might be. So ensure that your customer is satisfied, ask the question, engage them. And this also comes down to revenue and growth. It's easier to retain an existing customer than it is to gain a new customer. An existing customer knows your product or service. They are already in the system, something as simple as admin oriented of entering contact information, entering preference information. That consumer whose information is already entered is receiving emails from you, can take advantage of promotions, maybe even offering them a 2-for-1 deal is another way to reach out to them. Positive experience, this just continues to build on what I've been discussing. There is in your book a gap model. So this is a tool or an analysis that you can use to determine gaps in your service experience. And these can range from customer expectations and management expectations. Management is going to set up what that service provided is, what that experience looks like. So they're going to walk their employees through that process and set standards that employees need to meet. If an employee chooses or forgets to process one of those steps along the way, then that experience has now been changed for the consumer, and management may or may not be aware of it. So this goes back to expectations and setting them, and also perceptions. What is the perception of the consumer? What is the perception of the manager in that experience process? It also goes back to, talks about specifications versus delivery, alluding a little bit to what I said earlier. This is what's available, this is what's delivered. We can also use an example perhaps of, again, let's go back to the spa experience. The expectation is that the room is going to be scented when you're doing your facial, or you're going to have music playing. If someone forgets to turn on the music, then that expectation isn't met, and the serenity maybe isn't in place as it should be. So using that gap analysis is just another tool, it's another way, it's another research and resource piece for you as a marketing manager to look at service and how it's being delivered, and what isn't being delivered on it. These small details matter. So if you are in the service industry, maybe you do want to take a look at that chapter. Let me know if you have any questions about anything, and thanks for listening.